Thank you for having me. It's a big honor. This is my second time in TechWadi. The first time was 2 years ago when I was visiting and was impressed actually by the presentations. I did not prepare any slides. I should have, but I thought maybe without slides things can be much more flexible in terms of timing. I have only 10 minutes, so I had to put some notes down so I have some kind of idea on how to communicate. So the TED Talk is about a brief story of the genesis of artificial intelligence, and that is basically my personal experience in artificial intelligence. So it's not too far back as AI's history is, but it starts in '92. So AI started, I don't know, maybe 40 years before I started actually. When I worked in AI at that time, I mean, there was no cloud, or the concept of cloud was starting to get established. The machine learning, artificial intelligence was a taboo word, actually. People stopped believing that there is going to be something like an artificial intelligence. So that was a very challenging time. Yet I dabbled into that. And how did I get into that? So Daimler-Benz, I started working at Daimler in '92, and there was a problem. We had in Frankfurt airlines and airports communicating with each other about information about the plane when it lands. What are the passengers? What is the cargo? How is the distribution of the weight? How much fuel? I mean, all that kind of information was going between airlines and airports, and the information was mainly written by people, and it was sent by, I don't know if you guys know what telex is, but it was sent by telex from one location to another, so it was not even fax, yeah? So, and there was a standard where communication had to happen, but the people didn't stick to that standard. So they started writing regular text because they know that at the end of the day, the other person on the other hand, on the other side is going to understand. They're human. They speak the same language. Airports like Frankfurt or Zagreb at that time and Dubai came to us and said, this is crazy. We have in Frankfurt 72 people doing nothing else but reading these telex messages and interpreting that and doing something with it. And they were actually not hired to do that kind of thing. So they basically pulled them out from other jobs to solve that problem. So how can we automate that? And Daimler tried to do this first with rule-based approaches, rule-based AI, people writing down how to interpret certain information and so forth. Didn't work very well. We had a coverage of 20 or 30%, so we started using machine learning before it was mainstream to cover the other 80% which were not coverable with the rules as well. So at the end of my project in '94, we had basically, from the 72 people which were pulled out of other jobs, they went back to their jobs, only 2 people were left. We had basically 98% accuracy in understanding basically that information. So automation was a hit there, and I presented that information in a conference, and someone was in the audience who is teaching that kind of thing, artificial intelligence, and saw what I did, and then he hired me into the university. So when I started at Daimler-Benz, I was just coming out of high school. Now you can calculate how old I am. That's not good. So, I did not have a master's, I did not have a bachelor's, and so forth, but I had to start with that professor as a research scientist. So that professor was working on speech translation, automatic speech translation. Another level of complexity. Domain is, everyone can speak anything they want, and the system is supposed to understand. So I had to quickly go through bachelor's and master's and PhD work to basically be able to teach at the university, which I did. That was my second station in the machine learning area. So I experimented with rule-based approaches, obviously, at that time, statistical approaches, and neural methods. Neural methods were not yet feasible because, for example, I built a machine translation system with neural methods because the huge machines which we had, the servers, and still the vocabulary size which I could cover was 40 words. That was not feasible for a real solution. There's some feedback still, I think. Anyway, so we went back and used statistical methods. Out of the university, I pulled the good students out and built a new company called Explain AG. And one of my co-founders left me, unfortunately, later on and went to Google to start that capability inside Google in 2003. So we built machine learning as a service before actually cloud and services of that sort were available. And we sold it in 2004. To the US. That's what made me come to the US. So I'm gonna make a jump now to Amazon. Amazon does machine learning already 20 years. So in the mid-90s, they started building machine learning to build things like personalization, to do search, to do optimization in logistics and all of that. But they saw that the AWS customers are asking that, hey, I need machine learning to be able to enable my core capability inside my own business. So we started building 2.5 years ago when I joined services so that companies can start benefiting from machine learning without needing an army of scientists and so forth. They can basically ramp up quite quickly and build their services, their technologies around our machine learning. So we're offering 3 tiers of machine learning services. We have the core engines, we have the machine learning platforms. Those two things still need, to some extent, some machine learning background, but we're building also AI services where you can basically say, okay, I know I have content which is audio or video or something, deal with it, extract information out of it so that I can make use of it. So we have speech recognition, machine translation, computer vision, forecasting, prediction, personalization. Those are services which we are offering, but we are offering also SageMaker, which is a platform so that you can quickly enable your business with machine learning. Some cool stories are GE Healthcare adds intelligence now to medical devices, for example, to improve the quality of healthcare using our technologies. Or Capital One is enhancing their fraud detection using our technologies. Or Intuit shortened the time of deploying machine learning for certain things they have from 6 months to basically 1 week. So using our platform, we are enabling startups as well as large companies to be very efficient. So I'm seeing that startups are enabling new businesses, new capabilities. They're disrupting the domain they're working in using machine learning. And I'm happy to see that, and I'm happy to support them in different areas. We work with several VCs to enable that even more. I mean, we see sometimes startups doing certain things with machine learning. We would like to be helping. We would like to enable them with core technology or cash or something. I mean, there's a lot of promise out there. So so that's one thing I wanted to basically relay here in this meeting. Another thing which I want to relay in this presentation is, I think machine learning and artificial intelligence is getting mainstream, which is awesome. It's like programming languages years ago after assembly languages. So we should not think about machine learning, it's a barrier or something. Use machine learning everywhere. It's gonna help. It's gonna help. We use it inside Amazon as basically every innovation Jeff Bezos or his leadership team is always going to ask, okay, you're doing a certain innovation. Are you using machine learning for it? How are you enabling machine learning? And that's something I think is valuable for all of us to think about. And with machine learning, we're also enabling now broader coverage. We're not talking about a customer base which is only within a city or within a country. We can leverage now machine learning to go across. I mean, the borders are breaking down using machine learning, language technology, computer vision. A tip, I mean, so this is something I'm passionate about. Also a tip for, I'm seeing a lot of venture capitalists coming to me and saying, okay, there's AI everywhere. How can we trust what is AI and why people, and they're saying that basically they're getting a little suspicious. Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't see that. So they're suspicious basically. Can every company be an AI company? And my thinking is, I mean, if you go and pitch what the solution is before you pitch that you are using AI. AI should be considered similar to you're using Java or C++ or Python. Think about it as a second step. Think about the solution, about the customer first. And if you do that, your success has a higher probability. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much for having me again.